Hey everyone, it's Ethan from Outreach Outcomes here, and in this video I'm going to be quite literally pulling the curtain back on everything we did in order to generate $45,000 in revenue in 90 days for a startup SaaS company called Lantern. Now, if you don't know who I am the owner and founder of Outreach Outcomes, and just for about 4 years now at this point, I have been building these client acquisition and demand generation engines for companies in all sorts of different industries. My goal for this video is I want everyone who watches to walk away with at least one thing or insight they otherwise wouldn't have had. And in order to do this, I'm going to be showing like literally exactly what we did to generate these results. Now, I know this is going to lead to some people quite literally copying and pasting our messaging, our techniques. That's fine. Um, Truth is, these results were generated a while ago, and if you're going to do that, you're already behind. For the people that are a bit more serious, I hope that at least you can take the paradigms and fundamentals and help use them to fix your outbound strategy. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the computer and get started. Okay, so here we are generating $45,000 in 90 days for Lantern. A little screenshot from Duck, one of our points of contact. So just an update, Vision looks like they might be closing. That was one of the first deals we brought their way. But yeah, let's just jump in here. So Lantern is a SaaS company that helps businesses to streamline their data and tools all into one platform. What really sets them apart, though, is their ability to find and gather purchasing intent data so companies can identify who is most likely to buy. Um, if you've ever seen the movie Minority Report, it's essentially that, but in a SaaS platform that identifies champions, the people that in key accounts that are pretty much guaranteed to actually purchase whatever it is you're selling. That way, your sales guys can focus all of their efforts just into those people. Really cool product. It was really fun to sell, but I actually had a connection with the gentleman that was essentially acting as the fractional CRO at the time. So he was contracted to come in, help create their go to market outbound strategy, and then, of course, execute it to bring in revenue. And while the current strategy was working, this guy was very good at what he does. It was unfortunately a small flame. So he got the fire started, it was going, but they just couldn't get it as big as they needed to. So results were there, but they weren't enough. What was needed was essentially gasoline so that we could turn this small flame into a raging bonfire. The CRO rightly identified that the best way to do this was a multi channel approach because up until now, their focus was solely on LinkedIn and cold email, um, which worked and it worked really well, but he was focusing on sales titles. So he knew that cold calling these guys would be a massive leverage point because every sales guy I talk to, we're all the same way. We love getting a good cold call. So if he could figure out that channel, figure out how to leverage it properly, um, it would pay off massively. And of course, he was right. Uh, However, the fun part. So after determining an SDR was capable of cold calling was needed, now came the fun part. Finding someone competent enough to sell the solution with minimal training, fast ramp up time, doesn't break the bank, and more importantly, isn't burning their leads while ruining their reputation. This was a startup company, so reputation meant everything. They couldn't afford to burn their name and have a few like bad interactions because it would trickle into their TAM very, very quickly and ruin them before they ever got off the ground. Not the easiest thing to do, but fortunately, after churning through about 3 to 4 reps, the CRO and I got in touch and we were able to make our plan of attack. So, just a little screenshot here. This was in the first month. Green are showed calls, yellow were affirmative responses, but unfortunately didn't go anywhere, and red were opportunities I brought, but we ultimately came to the conclusion that they weren't worth pursuing. But you can see here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pretty sure there's more. I just couldn't get it all in the screenshot. But yeah, 12 opportunities in the first month. And this was a $15,000 solution. So very good. So what was the actual solution? Step one was the audit. Coming into this project, a baseline level of success had already been established, which makes my job a lot easier, so yay me. However, when it came to executing the cold call channel, there were a few issues. The tech that was being utilized was not up to par with what was needed. Taking the same philosophy from their email campaigns, which was quantity over quality, Lantern was utilizing parallel dialers So it would essentially allow them to call like 3 to 5 prospects at once. They would all ring. AI would determine who picks up the phone first and connect you with that person. What that ended up doing was actually we would connect with multiple people, the calls get dropped, we're essentially burning those leads because after, they've picked up the phone, they're met with silence and then the line just goes dead. You keep calling them over and over again, they're going to get really sick of it. So essentially, they were expecting their reps to make 500 dials plus a day. And not only were you burning the leads just because they were not going to pick up the phone a second or a third time, it really doesn't take a genius to do the math, but after a month or two, you've called all of your leads and essentially burned your entire TAM. So after making some tech changes and establishing a healthy connection rate KPI, we noticed another bottleneck. And this comes into our ICP and market resonance. So the second issue was we ran into the messaging we were taking to our ideal client profile, the ICP, was actually too good and enticing. Essentially, to get the pipeline built quickly, they were deploying not only a 3x ROI guarantee, a free trial, but also you got free AirPods or a gift card if you sat in on the demo. This backfired when it came to cold calling for two main reasons. One, a lot of unqualified people were trying to take these calls. Uh, People were straight up saying to me over the phone, hey, I'm not your decision maker. I'm not the person to do this, but shit, I'll take a gift card or I'll take AirPods. Yeah, sign me up. So obviously we can't be, one, that's not even projected proper qualified pipeline, but two, you're wasting the AE's time, which they were getting very, very short on. Two, the qualified buyers we wanted were scared away. So brackets here, free isn't usually free. If I went to sell you a free Lamborghini, you'd think, what the hell is wrong with the Lamborghini? This was essentially the same thing. An ROI guarantee and a free trial are both great mechanisms to get your foot in the door. But if I also need to give you free AirPods or a gift card valued at like $150, there's going to be an alarm dinging in the back of your head of like, if there's already an ROI and a free trial, why the hell does he also need to give me a gift? Red flags start to crop up in the prospect's mind and they start to think this can't really be what they say it is if they've got to put all these bells and whistles on the car itself just to get me to take a look. So what we needed to do was recreate our messaging to stop focusing on giving away free things and instead focus on the pain points that these prospects had, so that way we had greater market resonance. What I've actually done is I've grabbed all the scripts we used so we can walk through them and I can kind of give my thought process when it comes to script ideation. So this was the one they had given me. I had no say in this, but let's just go through it right off the rip. Hey, first name, this is a cold call, want to roll the dice today, / I have a $100 Amazon gift card for you, want to find out how you can get it. So here was the issue. We were leading the conversation with the gift card. These people weren't interested in the pitch, they weren't interested in what we had, they just wanted the gift card. It's a really good way to get attention, but the whole way through this call, they don't really care. They're just like, tell me how to get the gift card, tell me how to get the gift card. So we'd wait for the response. Thanks, I'm Jake from Lantern. Curious if your team is tracking former customers of company who have changed jobs to create pipeline outside of doing it manually through LinkedIn. This isn't an issue. It gets to the point. The problem is we're just leading with a question that doesn't actually have enough research or potency behind it. So leading your cold calls with a question is fine. I'll do it sometimes for sure. However, it needs to be really relevant to the person you're talking to, and you need to be asking a question that actually gets them thinking, and that like when they hear it, they're like, wow, this person knows me better than I know myself. So regardless of what they said, we would essentially start dumping social proof, which is great because these are some good companies. But at the end of the day, these people still don't really know what we do or what's in it for them. We're just kind of explaining the whole process and what it is we do in the whole situation. As you can see, the script just drags on and on and on and on. And again, we'd love to give you free stuff. You get an ROI up front, guarantee that you'll close 30K directly. There's too much going on. There's too many different moving parts, too many free, here you go, all into like this really complicated novel of a script. So what we ended up doing is, this was our version 1. So we completely cut out the Amazon gift card from the equation and just went right to the typical permission-based opener. Once they would say yes, or actually if they would say no, we would just say you're not the least bit curious, a little chuckle in your voice, pique their interest. And if they doubled down, essentially what we'll do is going right to the kind of bread and butter of what we do. So if we could track inside champions after they switched to another job and closed you at least 30,000 in annual revenue, you wouldn't care to explore that. If they still say no, that's fine, we'll move on. But at this point, the prospect's probably curious enough to at least give you 30 seconds. When they do that, what we'll do is we'll give them the very high level of what it is our company does, what Lantern does. So we help B2B companies who want to add an additional revenue channel from their company's former champions. Now, typically companies come to us for one of two reasons, which are, and then what we do is we go in to the two primary pain problems, issues that these companies might have in order to kind of position ourselves as the solution. So this is a hypothesis. We are testing and iterating on these angles as time goes on and as we collect market feedback, but these were the first two we eventually landed on. So they don't have a process in place to track champions, which is hurting because those deals are 3 times more likely to close, or the businesses do have a system, but it's done manually through LinkedIn, and a lot of potential revenue is slipping through the cracks. So what we're doing is we're putting them into two buckets. Either you have it in place or you don't. The prospect's always going to align with one of those. So they're going to resonate with one of these issues. Once they say, yep, I resonate more with the first one, boom, we can move into our question. How important is it for you to add additional revenue and keep your pipeline full? At this point, they're going to say, yeah, of course it is. We expand upon their pain point. We book them in for that call. And you can see here what the actual CTA is. Love to have my team run you through a free lead analysis. So now we're finally giving them the freebie. This is why they should take the call. And on top of that, we have an ROI upfront guarantee. So you're going to close at least 30K directly through us, or you get your money back. Is that interesting? So this worked very, very well. As you can see, our actual KPIs, we'll cover those later. However, we still knew there was room for improvement. You can see here, Duck had said, just Zoom with David. He was the CEO. He really likes the idea of doing more cold calls. They're onboarding their third AE in February and their fourth in March. So when we had worked together, we started in January. They had 2 AEs. We were able to generate enough pipeline that they felt it was necessary to bring on a third and eventually a fourth guy. And this leads perfectly into step 3, which was feedback and iteration. Once we had established enough success through cold calling, all while avoiding those previous pitfalls of unqualified buyers, we gained a lot of insights from the market so that we could hone in our messaging, on what resonated the most. So this is, we can see the version 3 script. So we had gone from this, well, first we'd gone from this, which is essentially a novel about who we are. Very little of it has to do with the prospect. Then we go into, okay, what are the prospect's pain points? 1 and 2. From there, we're able to identify what one they resonated with most, cut everything else out, and just give them the pitch, and eventually, boom, they'll schedule the call. So we keep the same opening here on version 3, but instead the pitch is very just cut and dry. Appreciate it. So my name's Jake, calling from Lantern. We work with B2B companies looking to add an additional revenue channel from your company's former buyers that have since moved jobs. We make it crystal clear what it is we do. Now the best part is we offer a 2x ROI guarantee, or you get a full refund. Essentially, I'm just curious if doing a brief pipeline assessment to see how we can uncover anywhere from 3 to 6 million in pipeline and get you 50 free trial leads would be the worst way to spend 20 minutes later this week. Almost every single prospect just laughs because they're like, no, of course that wouldn't be the worst way to do it. They'd ask a few questions, how does it work? What do you guys do? Can you give me some more detail? We'd answer their questions, not really even objections at this point because this sounds so good. And then boom, we'd schedule them in for a call. If they really had hesitancy, we would fall back on this offer, but this was only for our key accounts who we identified that they were qualified. And we knew once we got them on that demo, once we gave them the 50 free trial leads and showed them how much money they were missing out on, it really was just a no-brainer because they were almost guaranteed going to buy. Another angle we had hit, I just tagged on to the end here, was this was for our key accounts. So we ran the process for them. We knew kind of what they were missing out on, but we would just go in with, hey, I know for a fact a large chunk of your CRM contacts have moved on to another org and your team doesn't know. Would closing a deal from one of those former customers next month be worth a chat? Because again, this would be more personalized. I just threw it in here. At this point, we were so proficient that we could just cut and paste what we needed. But again, this speaks directly to the person. And we're leading with, hey, I can get you this result, absolutely guaranteed. Do you want to have a chat about that? And this worked incredibly well. It took a while, it took a few months to get there, but like when you get the data, you see your numbers, you can iterate, you can make strategic decisions on what your next step is going to be when it comes to your messaging. And from there, you're going to be able to get some crazy numbers like we've got below. So from this point on, we started to get really good results and we were absolutely crushing KPIs. For reference, this is when we started the project in January. So you can see the dates on the side, the total number of dials, the number of connections. So a connection to us is you speak with the intended person. Gatekeepers don't count. This is you spoke to the DM, the decision maker, or you at least connected with the decision maker. So we're always aiming for above 10%. Really above 8 is great. 10 is kind of my bread and butter, what I'm always looking to get. And then we have our number of pitches. Once we've connected to the decision maker, they actually have to say yes to our permission-based opener. They have to let us give us like the whole pitch. That's typically like, it can be pretty 50-50. Sometimes it's a coin toss. So anything above 50% is great. Typically this should be within the 60 to 70% range. And as you can see here, 52% and 60. And then interested replies. So these were people that didn't end up booking, but they were interested to hear more and genuinely interested to hear more. Not just, yeah, can you send me an email? Sure, I'll do that. Hang up the phone. These people had legitimate excuses, legitimate reasons why it needed to be an email and not a proper demo. So we took their information and then appointments booked. You can see in the first week here, we did 263 dials, connected with 25 people, 13 pitches, and we booked 1 call. So it was a total 8% appointment book rate based off the number of pitches. Not too bad, especially for the first 4 days of first 3 days rather of dialing. By week 2, we did just under 400 dials and had booked 2 appointments. So again, a 10% appointment booking rate. It was about every 200 dials we were getting someone in. And then you can see the last weeks of February. So at this point, we were on to version 3 of our script, and the numbers were just amazing. We didn't call Monday, but we did 306 the second last week of February, and we booked 4 appointments. Then the last week of February, we did just under 300 dials, and we booked 4 total. So that was 8 just in the second half of February alone. Yeah, this stuff works. You get the data, you iterate, and you will see success. So I have been chatting for quite a bit here, so I just want to recap everything quickly, go over the results and the actual conclusion here. So in the first 3 months of working together, we generated Lantern hundreds of thousands in qualified pipeline. Their solution was $15,000 ACV, or annual contract value. And we were generating well over 7 SQLs per month consistently. That's the key word. It wasn't just one really good month and then we kind of went our separate ways. We were doing this month over month for all of Q1, which meant we were adding over 100 grand in pipeline consistently, month over month. More importantly though, we moved away from just giving away free things to people just to get them on the discovery call, and instead focused on targeting the right people with the right messaging. This allowed us to convert these prospects into real tangible cash, $45,000, and double the sales team all in 1 quarter, all through 1 channel. So, conclusion. If you have something valuable already working, get the data and iterate. Put more fuel on the fire because volume negates luck. Sure, you can't just spam a bunch of people and expect it to work. If you're putting volume on something not already working, you're just going to scale something that's shit. What you need to do is get that initial messaging out there, see what sticks. Once you've got it, get the data, iterate quickly, and then scale up your volume drastically, going across different channels, because the more shots on net you take, the more goals you're going to score. It's just the bottom line. Outbound strategies need to be omni-channel in this day and age. Anyone can spam inboxes with email, and even LinkedIn isn't safe anymore. With the amount of automation tools out there, you can be sending hundreds of messages a day across several accounts using LinkedIn. So pick up the phone, start dialing. People want to hear from real people. This AI age of hiding behind screens is just, it's getting old. I think a lot of people really miss the days where you could, call and do business face to face. And while it's still kind of weird, we're not really back in full swing. Picking up the phone and actually talking to people is as close as we can get, especially from an outbound perspective. So do it. You'll see posts on LinkedIn of people saying, oh, don't cold call, cold calling's dead. It's getting harder, without a shadow of a doubt, but by any means, it is not dead. So pick up the phone. And then number three, lead your cold calls with the prospect's problem. Stop talking about what you can do. No one cares. People want to know what's in it for them. They want to know how you can help them. So lead your calls saying what problems you're going to solve, who you've done it for, and you're just going to see way more success. So if you want us to implement a similar strategy or playbook into your business, and hopefully generate you some similar results, regardless of the industry, time of year, or market conditions, please don't hesitate. Visit us at outreachoutcomes.com. Really hope genuinely from the bottom of my heart that this video at least gave some new insights, at the bare minimum, on how you can script your outbound messaging and just see all that much more success from cold calling. But regardless, thanks again for your time. Hope you have a wonderful day.